Joining us now are political insiders Tony May to my right, Charlie Giroux to my left. We're having an argument over Fosnauts with cameraman Jules.
Might be the biggest argument we have today, because what we've got on the table right now is the President's State of the Union address. It's just a hodgepodge of things, Charlie, that the President wants to talk about tonight. And aren't State of the Unions notoriously just kind of lost in the shuffle over history?
Well, especially since his State of the Union address was in effect given during his inaugural address. I mean, the run-ups to State of the Union speeches generally are much more momentous than the State of the Union speech itself. I mean, we're chatting about who's going to sit with who and who will be next to the First Lady and who will be on camera and all that kind of stuff. But these addresses generally are not very memorable. What they are, though, is a great opportunity for the chief executive, with all the trappings of power surrounding him and 45 standing ovations punctuating whatever he says, to lay out an agenda. This is Obama's opportunity.
Maybe he'll do something interesting and ask the legislators in Congress to give up fighting for Lent.
Maybe he will. Right?
But beyond that, I thought your listeners had very good points to make about what they wanted to see, and I think those are some of the things that he's going to touch on, because, as Charlie says, you want to hit the high notes, you want to give people something that make everybody happy, although not everyone is going to be happy, because we're going to hear from Marco Rubio and Rand Paul afterwards for the crank session. And
Tony is referring to, went out to the streets and asked people on the street, what do you want to hear from the president tonight? One woman stuck out in particular. Her comment was, I'm tired of the empty promises. I'm just tired of, I want to hear some facts that you're going to act on. Is that something the president really needs to focus on?
Oh, I think all politicians need to focus on those kinds of comments. We're hearing them much too often. I think that one of the things that it's predicted that he's going to talk about is a major troop withdrawal in Afghanistan. It's a promise that he will make tonight and he will have to keep. And I think that will make people satisfied and happy that they are being listened to.
How crucial is Rubio's speech?
Rubio has the toughest job in America. Whenever you're giving the retort to a presidential State of the Union message, it's very difficult. You remember a few years ago, Bobby Jindal, who was another rising star in the Republican Party, absolutely flubbed up that moment. But I think Marco Rubio tonight, speaking in both English and Spanish, will do a very credible job of laying out, in effect, a minority report. What I hope he does is what Tony alluded to a moment ago, which is, instead of giving platitudes and generalities, to talk in specifics. Look what happened when Dr. Ben Carson, hardly a politician, did that last week at the National Prayer Breakfast. His remarks are still reverberating across the political landscape, a non-politician who spoke straight from the heart about specific proposals for America.
All right, let's talk about something that bipartisan support, for a change, appears to come from a new study that came out of the Commonwealth Foundation today, a poll about liquor privatization, saying that 6 out of 10, I believe it is, people in Pennsylvania, Democrats, Republicans alike, are for the privatization plan laid out by the governor.
Not surprising, because polls throughout the years have shown the overwhelming majority of Pennsylvanians to be for liquor privatization. It doesn't make any sense for the state to be in the liquor business. This poll confirms it. The question remains, does the legislature have the political will to do it?
It's been in front
What's
of them
interesting
a lot of
is, in this poll, which was done by a Democratic firm, it also said the overwhelming majority of union households support privatization.
And he's looking for
support. The one problem with polls of any kind is what questions were asked and what questions were not asked. What they didn't ask, how important is this issue to you? When pollsters ask this basic question in every poll, name the most important issue you think government should address, selling in liquor stores never ends up in the top 20. So they would prefer to have private liquor sales, in an ideal world, but there are other things that are more important.
But that's
the problem, intensity of feeling about it.
All right, Tony May, Charlie Giroux, and again, you can see the State of the Union address tonight right here on CBS 21 at 9 o'clock.